still see Isaac O'Day. I really do.
Roman
So I'm
style,
so I'm just curious, which character is the most like you? You've had many, and which one is the least like you?
It's a good question. Isaac O'Day. Okay, there are aspects of me in everything. I would say the least like me on its face was playing Clarence Thomas.
Okay.
The least like me. However, I'm really, and that's a very interesting question, but I think the most accurate thing that I can say is they all have aspects of me. I would say that, Clarence Thomas, because my politics are pretty much diametrically opposed to his.
Sure.
But in order to play the part, and I would say this for any actor, one has to find the common ground, the way in, right? Playing a character like Mr. Rose in The Cider House Rules,
Right.
and that's not me, right? And we're in quotes, that's not me. But again, I have to find the way in. So I think the short answer to your question is there are aspects of me probably in all of the things that I have done. Rodney, Clockers, that's not me. But there are aspects of me in all of them.
Okay, thank
Did
you.
that answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's our time. Just kidding.
That's right.
All right, so Mr. Lindo, I had a question. Mellissa Thomas with Florida National News. Obviously, you've been at this for a very long time. What is the thing or things that keep you going in this career that continues to excite you about being an actor?
Another very good question. There are times in my life when I feel that whatever success, and again, I'm saying success in quotes, whatever success I have achieved that success on some level despite the industry. And so I'm really proud of the fact that I hung in there, that I continued working, that I found ways to continue to work and to continue to believe in myself, yes, but other people believed in me also. So the stick-to-itiveness, the ability to just keep working and not give them the victory. And by not giving them the victory, what I mean is, if I internalize some of the things, Nyambi and I just had a conversation in the car about something that was said to him as a young person that was extremely negative, non-helpful.
Yeah.
And had you internalized what was said to you, and on some level you did, but not to the point where it stopped your life.
No.
Right.
I always knew that I was destined for something great. That thing that the person said it was a coach, that said something to me, because basketball is what I did in my former life before acting. That coach said when I wanted to transfer, where are you going to go? Who's going to want you? Nobody's going to want you. Can't do this, can't do that. You're not going to play D1. Where are you going to go? So then I believed him. But I believed him not only in that setting, but then in every other setting I walked into. And so it took me some time to realize that was happening, and to recognize that was the root of what was holding me back. And and then we discussed eventually, after that person saw the success that I was garnering, that person then said I was one of his favorite players.
And I called it revisionist history.
Yeah.
That was my take on it.
Right.
But to be really like super honest with you, I forgot your question.
Keeps you most excited, that keeps you going.
Yes. So what keeps me going is a combination of. But my answers were kind of on point, right?
You're
But what keeps me going is the y'all keep me going. You guys keep me going. And that's not just talk. The fact that the way that you responded, when I came into the room and you shook my hand and we introduced and we started to speak, the way that sister in the radio, we just came from a radio station. So when I was a very, very young, when I was just starting out, I was meeting with a casting person. And this casting person said to me, she was a white female, and she said to me, well, what do you, if your career progresses, as your career progresses, what do you want? What are your ambitions for yourself as an actor? And I said, and I hadn't done anything, right? I was just fresh off the boat, so to speak. I hadn't done anything. And I said to this casting person, I said, well, I really want to be respected for my work. And I remember she kind of rolled her eyes and said, yeah, you and everybody. She didn't say it, but that was the body language, right? But the respect and the regard for what I do as an actor is what I have gotten. And that sustains me. And it all mixes together, and that infuses me, as neurotic and as insecure and crazy as I am. It feeds the positive aspects that cause me to keep going. And then the work is good. I just finished working on, and I know we're here to talk about TGF, and we will. But TGF, how people have responded to that. And I just finished doing Spike's new film, which is an incredibly important story. So the good work keeps coming, and that inspires me, and that causes me to believe maybe I got something. So.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a question. For The Good Fight, you are the boss. You are in a great, you're in a great position to where you are a black man in charge on a very diverse show.
You're saying I'm the HNIC?
Yes, you are. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. So it's a couple parts to the question. The first part is, with you being the HNIC, it's such a diverse, so many diverse actors. How does it make you feel, and how different is it from being on a more black, I guess you would say more all black cast or black crew, as opposed to this more diverse crew, and you are the HNIC?
So, it's a tightrope walk, because I'm not really the HNIC. No, I'm not being coy. I'm not. Here's the thing, and here's one of the conversations that I have with the producers, I think after season 2, is that my conversation with them was, we have a conundrum here. And the conundrum is the way that the firm was introduced in season 1, I'm the HNIC. Right? Along with the character that Erica played, Erica. But
No, go ahead, sorry.
But I'm not number 1 on the call sheet.
No?
No. Christine Baranski, Diane Lockhart is number 1 on the call sheet. Now listen, the good fight came about
From the good wife.
as a spin-off
Yeah.
from the good wife,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So Christine Baranski, Chris Jumbo, who was also on The Good Wife,
Sarah
And-
Steele as well.
Sarah Steele, but less so Sarah. Look at the one sheet. Look at the poster for season 1. Look at who was on it, and look at who was not on it. Now, even though my character, Adrian Bozeman, was the head, it was introduced as the head of this very successful law firm, the narratives, the storylines, and the emphases of the various storylines had to be sure and make space for the Diane Lockhart character. So the conundrum, and none of this is a complaint. I really got to be very clear about this. I'm not complaining. I'm trying to answer your question. Because on the one hand, yes, I'm introduced as the HNIC, but I'm not number 1 on the call sheet. And so the storylines have a certain emphasis. So my answer to your question is, I am traversing, it's a tightrope walk. I have to, for the time that I'm on screen, and I think it's true for all of us, for the time that I'm on screen, you make sure that you are true to what has been written and true to what the demands of the narrative are. But I'm not really HNIC. It's a tightrope walk. You see, and I'm learning. Honestly, after all these years, I'm learning how to continue to work in television, how to continue to be part of an ensemble, how to continue to this storyline is happening over here, and that storyline doesn't involve me. But if I'm the HNIC, why doesn't it involve me? Why are certain decisions being made where if I were really the HNIC, I'd be saying, wait a minute, we need to do X, Y, Z, but that's not what the storyline is. So it's a tightrope walk. Does that make sense?
Oh, a lot.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, your career has spanned decades, of course. How have you
Are
seen...
you saying I'm old?
No. Well, you age well. I just turned 50, so I'm loving my age.
All right,
So.
go ahead. 50 is the new 30. Go ahead.
Yeah,
All
right.
right. So how have you seen the film?
He's 5.
What did he hear?
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
So how have you seen the film and television industry change for African Americans from a business standpoint? And you as well.
I know you asked me the question, but I want Nyambi to answer it first.
Well, I'll say this. For me, over the last 20 years, almost 20 years since I first started, when I made the decision to be an actor, I've seen not only myself, I've seen my friends come up. And when I say my friends, I mean people that I knew all the way back to 2001. I remember seeing Chadwick Boseman at New Federal Theater, you know, and then looking up to him, being like, "Yo, this guy is such." I wanted to do theater with Woody King, you know, because of that, you know, with that, and then Woody King being like, "You should go to L.A." You know, and then I was like, "Oh, thank you," but then didn't do it. But then, you know, anyway, I wonder if I had made that decision, what my life would have been like anyway. But remembering Chadwick then, you know, working with you know, Danai Gurira being one of my closest friends. Since 2004, just seeing all of these different actors, Lupita since 2000, since 2008, same with Winston Duke as well, where there was a time where it felt like it could only be a this or that. I feel like it's a yes and that yes and sort of situation that's happening now, where I feel like I'm seeing more and more of us being I mean, I hope that it continues. You know, I hope that it's certainly there's certainly a lot of progress, but I'm hoping that it continues to progress. Because brother trying to work. But I would say that's the difference. I feel like it was always like, all right, that's the guy, and then when it's no longer that, for some reason, in order for you to become the guy, that person had to be like
Right, there was not space for two.
Yeah. I mean, that's the case with actors. Though that was the case with actors. Certainly the case with directors. Like they'll say, "Oh, that's the black director,"
Right.
and where it's like, well, there should be space for all of us. You know what I mean? There should be space to be able to tell various different stories because we're not one thing. We're not a monolith. I'm trying to use big words. I'm a man here. All right,
$5.
Yeah, much.
You use $5 words.
Yeah, we're all things. We're all things, not just one. And so I think we're starting to see that now. The tendency is to see an actor or see a director and say, "Oh, wow, that story's amazing. We got to get that person to do this one, do that, whatever," and which is great for that individual. But then we should be able to say, "Oh, that person is great. We got to open it up and find more people like that." Because that's what.
And that's not quite the way it works for us.
Yeah.
Right. I really wanted Nyambi to answer your question first because I wanted to get the perspective of a younger actor, and it was so interesting to hear him say certain things, but versus, well, there's X, Y, and Z, and that's your perspective. I think that the question, how have I seen the industry change? I started to use the term, I started to say it's become, on some level, more inclusive. But I think we have these ebbs and flows, right? We have these rhythms in the industry, right? Many of you are probably too young to remember blaxploitation in the 70s, right? Now, the fact of the matter is that blaxploitation films saved Hollywood on many levels, saved the studio system in Hollywood because they were having a very hard time, and then it was discovered that they could make these films relatively inexpensively, and because we go to the movies and we support these things, they were making a killing, right? So when I say they saved the studios, that's what I mean. There were these huge influxes of cash because we were going to see these films. And one could be forgiven for thinking, if you went back to the 70s, that this could be some kind of a renaissance, right? That did not happen. So in terms of the moment that we're in right now, I want, as you said, I want to see where we are in 5 or 10 years and what this time spawns in terms of any long-lasting, enduring change in the industry, how we are viewed in the industry, what kind of work we not only procure for ourselves, but the kind of work that we get to do. How does that fundamentally change the paradigm? And I think that it is too soon to tell. I want to say can I just say one other thing? And this is kind of a theoretical idea. And I'm trying to kind of articulate my thoughts as I'm thinking. The brother's name is Stephan James, the brother who was in If Beale Street Could Talk, right? So I saw that film, and I'll get to Chadwick in a second because Chadwick's, I think, a different kind of a proposition. But so arguably, you could say that his name is Stephan, right?
Yes, Stephan.
I don't know if that's.
I think it's Stephan.
Stephan, right? He does If Beale Street Could Talk, and that kind of puts him on the map. That introduces him to audiences, movie-going audiences. To your point of, and I think he's a good actor based on what I saw.
Yeah.
Your point of, okay, here's this young man, Stefan, what else can we do for him? What else can we find for him? How do we develop and nurture him, right? The next thing I saw, and I did not see the film, but I saw something where he was doing a film with Julia Roberts. Okay, now I have not seen it, okay, and it may be a wonderful film, but the point I'm making is this, that here's a young man who makes an impact.
Right.
What happens to him is that the industry then comes and pairs him with a Julia Roberts.
Yeah, it's big. Yeah.
as compared to looking at who he is and nurturing something for himself, developing.
Right, yeah.
They pair him with. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong necessarily, but it's a certain manifestation of how the industry functions. And it speaks to the thing that you were saying about, you know, young black talent and how is it nurtured, how is it not nurtured? Is it simply now you've arrived apparently, so now we'll give you a film with Julia Roberts? And that's not to be disparaging against Julia Roberts. I'm trying to speak about how the system works. And until those kinds of things are changed, and we have different kinds of paradigms, or we create different kinds of paradigms, I think the answer to your question, how has the industry changed, cannot be fully answered. Does that make sense?
And I think the biggest change or changes need to happen at the root. Being
At the fundamental,
as far as
absolutely.
producers,
Talking
as far as the studio
paradigm
system,
change,
as far as that's really where that happens. And also with the way, I mean, the fact that everyone now can be a producer, everyone now can be a director. I mean, I can right now.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
want my movie? Don't worry. You could do that now. But the fact that you can do that, like, there's people have more power to create, you know, but I don't think people know that, you know, because I know a lot of people who
Our people don't know that.
Our people,
Our
and I
people
know a
do
lot
not
of
know.
people who make a lot of money. That are people just being like, you know what, bump all that. We're doing our own thing. We're shooting our own thing. We're shooting our own stuff. We have our
You speak that
own.
Nollywood?
No, not Nollywood, man.
No, but there's a lot of money being
Nollywood, yes.
There's a hell of a lot of money being played in Nollywood. Being made in Nollywood.
Yeah, of course. No, but I'm talking about it's still, you know, in the sort of the streaming platforms and things like that.
Okay.
Where people are creating their own content and they have their own audience for those things. And you know, just I think now people are. If you want to be creative, there is an outlet. There's no like, damn, I wish somebody would like.
You're saying there's no excuse for not being creative if you really. Okay.
Like there's like, you know, it's like, well, shoot, you want to do that? Well, shoot it. You know, you have that idea. Okay, we'll create it. You know, get your friends together and put something together. They make these cameras so high end now. Even the phones, they make them so high end now that you can shoot anything. I've shot some stuff on my phone, or people are like, man, that's a legit film. You know, and that's just me messing around. You know, on my phone. But it starts at the root.
So and I won't keep you long because we want pictures.
Yeah.
So you gentlemen have done, you know, TV like film. So have you ever thought about like, forgive me if I don't know, being on Broadway? Have you guys thought about that?
Oh,
theater.
Oh, man.
So I was about to say, are you serious?
Whoa.
Yes, I'm very
You're forgiven for not knowing.
I know, right?
Forgive me.
Whoa.
Okay, because
Look, check them credentials, girl.
I know. Forgive me.
For real.
Yeah.
So I've been on.
So when you come back, so I can see you. Since if I'm forgiven.
So I will, even though this was not your question. Yeah, I come from the theater.
Okay.
And honestly, one of the reasons that my film not right across the board, but one of the reasons that I have a film career is that Spike Lee saw me in a play on Broadway back in 1988. I would be remiss if I did not. The play is called Joe Turner's Come and Gone by August Wilson, one of the great dramatists, fences, Two Trains Running. He wrote a cycle. He wrote a 10-play cycle for every decade of the African American experience in America. So, the response to your question is I've been on Broadway, but I would, yes, I would, yeah, of course. If the situation were right, I absolutely would, because I come from the theater, and I'm always looking for opportunities to return to the theater if and when the situation is right.
I go by Broadway and Fifth, and then what? What? Oh, they got a great Rite Aid right there. My Broadway debut, I was an understudy in Joe Turner's.
So we did the play.
Yeah.
How many years apart? I did it in 1988 on Broadway.
And I did it in 2009.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I went on, because you played
Harold Loomis.
And I went on as Harold Loomis.
Wow.
Yeah, because the actor had lost his voice and had, like, halfway through the show and had to go on. And then I did the next three right after. And that changed my life, you know. And then I was almost back on Broadway, but I had to make a decision. Well, it was no decision, but a show I was doing Shakespeare in the Park. I was doing The Merchant of Venice, playing the Prince of Morocco in an Al Pacino production. And they moved it to Broadway, but I couldn't do it because of Mike and Molly. But that would have been my last time. Yeah, my TV commitment. But that would have been my last time. That would have been, yeah. So I'm actually itching to get back on stage and play.
Okay. I think that's it.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you guys so much.